What up, Hard Squad, and welcome to another Guess That Grade, where you and I will be taking a look at some incredibly rare Pokemon cards, guessing the grade, and then in the same video, revealing the results in hopes of getting the grade that we want. And today's cards are some incredible ones, like that first edition base set Mewtwo card that I pulled a couple weeks ago. We'll be taking a close look at several categories that you have to look at when considering what grade a card will get. Now, there are four main categories, of course. There are the corners, the surface, the sides, and of course, the almighty centering of a card, which we will get into very, very shortly. But if you enjoy this series and channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, leave a like. Let's get this video to 10,000 likes, everybody. I appreciate the support as always. Now, getting into the first card, it is the one, the only, choking up with emotion here. First edition Mewtwo card. This is the same one that I pulled a couple weeks ago in that heavy first edition base set pack opening for Pokemon Day. It was an amazing day, but have to be very, very gentle with this card because it is an incredible base set holographic to pull. And we will start off, as I will just for this part leave it in the sleeve, looking at the centering of the card. Otherwise, the yellow border around the card and the blue border around the back of the card, how congruent it is on all sides. This, my friends, should get a perfect centering score. Sometimes there's more yellow on the right, sometimes there's more on the top, anywhere. But for this card, take a look at that. I've seen worse cards that centered than this get 10s. And that is the subcategory that the grade you'll want to get is a 10. Worst would be a 9.5, but honestly, I would say a 10 for that. Now I will be very, very careful to take this out of the sleeve. Definitely take a closer look at this card to see any imperfections. Now, unfortunately, I did see, as I have to be very careful, on the surface of the card, primarily, oop, there goes the PSA 10 or Beckett 10. Around this area, unfortunately, it's very faint, but there may be some sort of factory just scratch that just unfortunately happens on the left side of the surface. Otherwise, this card is it's perfect on the front, which I'm very, very happy about. Even the corners, sides, everything. We take a closer look at the back. You can see the centering of the card. It looks very, very nice still. The only issues with the back, or at least the main ones, are there is some whitening, unfortunately. The top left, and you can see it right there, the top right. It's faint, but it's still there, and that's all that matters when it comes to getting the best score on a card. Otherwise, I don't see any other imperfections on this card. Maybe a little whitening at the bottom left. That side's perfect on the bottom right. Yay for that. So for this card, definitely not a Beckett 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it a Beckett 9, but I still also wouldn't be surprised. And my prediction for my first edition base set Mewtwo is a BGS 9.5 or a gold label gem mint label for this guy, which would be fantastic. And you never know. Could be surprised and get an even better score, but I doubt that. So that is my score for this one. So please put your scores in for that. Next up is a card from a set called Team Rocket, a Dark Charizard that I pulled. I believe it was in the same opening that I pulled the Mewtwo on. This card, I believe, has a chance at getting a Beckett Pristine 10. Maybe even a black label, which would be absolutely incredible. To be very careful with this one because, one, centering on this card is perfect. Japanese card. Usually the quality of the cards are better than the American counterparts. No factory lines or anything on the surface. And of course, taking a look at the back, I don't see any fraying or whitening of the corners or anything. So this, my friends, may be a perfect card in what I'm extremely excited about to see what comes about this Team Rocket Dark Charizard holographic card. My prediction is not a black label. It is a BGS Pristine 10 for the Team Rocket Charizard card that if it does come back, that would be absolutely incredible. So hopefully you got a nice look at this one. It's a beaut. It's a beaut. Next up, in all of these cards I have pulled in videos from recently, like this one, a beautiful Expedition base set Rapidash holographic card. The thing with this card is, it is an E-Series card from, I believe, 2002. It has the E-Series type of look on the sides of the card, where in the Game Boy Advance e-reader from that time, you would swipe the card and play games or get more stats on the card. No one really used it, but it was a cool concept at the time, and it makes the cards look very cool, I think. But this specific card is not perfect, but it's fairly close. Thing with this one is, centering is kind of difficult to tell on these types of cards because it's like just really, it looks off center, but you know, they don't factor this big glob over there off center. So you kind of just look at the top right to those sides, and then of course the back is the all telling side. Because it's the same as the other cards, and it looks perfect for centering on this side, which is fantastic. Pats on back for that. Maybe some whitening at the top right and top left, and maybe a little bit down there. Bottom left. Bottom right, again, seems perfect on this one. So this is a Rapidash holographic card from Expedition. It's a beautiful, beautiful card. Not a lot of holofoil shiny area to mess with or get factory lines or scratches, and I don't see any, so that's very good. Thing with these cards is, you never know what the grading company can see when they're looking at it close up. There could always be some type of imperfection, but for the most part, looking at it from a glance like this, for this one, I think it'll get a BGS 9.5 for the Expedition Rapidash. So excited to see what that one comes at. These whole E-Series lines of Poplar Skyridge are beautiful cards. Next up is another Expedition, a Venusaur holographic card that I pulled. And I believe this one may actually be in better condition than the Rapidash one. Really is a beautiful card. I don't see any factory lines or anything on the shiny part. Centering, we will take a look at the back real quick. Also looks like a perfectly centered card. We have been so lucky with centering in this entire episode. It's been fantastic. And if you really look, I don't really see that much whitening at all. Like maybe a few specks at the top right and top left. However, for those, it's just like, those may even brush off. And I don't want to mess with that. This has to be, for the Venusaur Expedition holographic card, like this has to get a strong 9.5. I don't want to say a Beckett 10 because who knows, those are they don't give those out often. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, Heart Squad. So the Expedition Venusaur holographic is probably one of the strongest cards other than that Dark Charizard that you saw earlier. Last but not least is a card that I just think is beautiful, and it's from a set that's notorious for factory lines. Pichu from Neo Genesis. Look at the background on that thing. So for this specific card, it's not perfect, but it's very, very close. Thankfully, I don't see any factory lines or scratches on the holofoil, and that's what Neo Genesis is very, very notorious for, which is why when you get cards in perfect condition or grades, that's a big deal. So I wanted to get this one graded. No, it's not first edition, but I pulled it, so it's special in that regard. Centering also looks perfect. It's weird to do a Guess That grade where all centering looks really, really good. So I'm gonna be curious to see all the subcategory centering grades that we get for today's opening. Now there is a little bit of whitening at the top right. Otherwise, not so much on the rest of the card. So again, my prediction for the Pichu holographic from Neo Genesis is a Beckett or BGS 9.5. But this is going to be fun because you never know. One of these, I would hope, comes back a Beckett 10, and that would be absolutely legendary. So putting this guy gently back in the sleeve, and there we go. Now, off to Beckett. We are back and I have the results, the grades of that first edition base set Mewtwo and some other incredible cards like a Team Rocket Dark Charizard. All lies inside this box. So without further ado, if you enjoy Guess That Grade, please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, please leave a like. I appreciate the support as always. But here we go from Beckett. We will go one at a time. I will try to remember my grade from the first half of this video. And let's check the first card. It's the Expedition Venusaur. I think I said a BGS or Beckett 9.5 for this one. And I think I also said for centering for all cards that I'm grading today, probably are perfect, like a Beckett 10 in the subcategory. So let us see. It's a Beckett 9.5! And looky! It's a 10 for the centering as well! Gosh, there's something that just hits home when you see a 10 for a subgrade in that golden slab. Okay, so the centering got a 10. We'll take a look at all of the categories on it and why I think they got the scores. Corners got a 9. That's a little disappointing, but it wouldn't have changed the grade if it was a 9.5. The edges and surface all got 9.5s for that lovely Gem Mint 9.5 score. I'm gonna instantly turn towards the corners. So, I don't see anything on this specific corner. That looks like dust on the inside. That looks like an almost perfect corner. Perfect corner. And like specks of whitening on that corner. So I would actually give these corners, unless there's something on the front, a 9.5. So one thing we could do, and this is where you, the audience, comes in, live audience, you can let me know if you think I should get a card regraded, and you may see that in a next episode of Guess That Grade. So the centering otherwise got a perfect 10, and the other one's got a 9.5. So I think this is probably, the prices will have been on screen, as well as population reports for each of the cards, basically meaning how many of these have the same grade and are out in the world, out in the wild, and probably not that many, to be completely frank. And if you are interested in purchasing one of these cards, serious inquiries only, please email me, serious inquiries only. So there we go. First one, I think we got it right. So there we go. Alrighty then, what do we got next? It is the Pichu. Pichu from Neo Destiny. From Neo Genesis. It was a combination set, a hybrid. I think I said 9.5 for this one as well. It's just unlimited, not first edition. So without further ado, a 9. But look again. What? It got 10 centering and an 8.5 for the corners. That's bad. I don't think it was an 8.5, but look at the edges and the surface are exactly like the Venusaur. This needs to be a 9. It's 0.5 away and it would get a 9.5. So let's take a look at the corners. Well, usually the fronts are, usually perfect, but it's gonna be the back that tells all. Okay, there's one speck of whitening right there. That's hair on the card. That looks perfect corner-wise. That looks like, I'm trying to see if that, like, maybe there's a little whitening, or that's just the sides of the card glistening from the light that I have down here. That honestly looks perfect. And there is one speck of whitening right there. Guys, this is an easy regrade. If I cared that much, if it was worth more, I would regrade this card. However, I probably will just go ahead and sell it instead. But you're seeing it right now. This, like the corners, I have no idea why they get an 8.5. I don't see them cut in a different way, from the sheet when it gets cut. Sometimes that's a factor as well. This is easily a 9.5 in my book, especially with the 9.5s all around. And centering is a 10, and that's really, really big. So, Pichu from Neo Genesis, excuse me. And there's the centering just so you can see the back of it. So far, it's been perfect centerings. Happy about that. But next up is... It's the Dark Charizard from Team Rocket. I think... Was my prediction a Beckett 10? I think it was. This was a strong case to get an actual Beckett 10. Not Black Label, but I wouldn't be surprised. So let's see. It's a 9.5! But look at that, we were 0.5 away from getting a Beckett Pristine 10. No way. No way. Edges, corners a 10. That's insanely big. Centering got a 9.5 and surface got a 9.5. If one of those is a 10, this would be a 10 pristine. Wow, this is, talk about maybe getting this regraded. That's a difference in probably like $1,000. So something's wrong with the surface on this one that made it a 9.5. But let's take a look at the centering, which is something that you can definitely take a look at. I guess I can understand centering getting a 9.5. Honestly, it really does look congruent for them. I think it looks congruent. Like, look at the back. That looks perfect centering. This has gotta be a pristine 10. I think there's only I think there may be just 2 or 3 pristine 10s of Japanese Dark Charizards in the world. But guys, this is a strong, like, this would get a PSA 10. Like, this would definitely get a PSA 10. And that's big. You can get it graded from PSA. So unless somebody really, really wants this, I may get this regraded, because this is a strong contender for a Beckett Pristine 10. That's great. That is really, really great. Otherwise, the surface somehow had something wrong with it. I mean, there's lots of things that could go wrong with the surface, but the surface usually, for the, like, it's always the corners or the edges. I honestly can't believe we got 2 10s for the most difficult categories. That's insane. That really is insane. And I know Japanese products have better quality than the English counterparts, but still, especially with it being the Charizard that we pulled. Fantastic, fantastic. So there goes the streak of 10 for centering, but all right. Still got the Rapidash in the first edition Mewtwo. This is the Expedition Rapidash. I think I just said Beckett BGS 9.5 for this one. So let us see. A 9.5, but oh my gosh! It has 2 10s again! Centering 10, surface 10. Edges are a 9.5, and the corners got a 9. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Look at that beauty. That is absolutely beautiful. So once again, the centering, we are back on track with the perfect centering. Edge has got a 9.5 in the corners. Let's take a look at the corners. I can somehow justify that getting a 9. Those all look fine. It's always the back though. So looks like there is a little whitening, a speck of whitening on the right side. And for this one, speck of whitening on that side. That's just dust on the inside of the case. All right, so there's a little whitening right there too. And that's perfect on the bottom right. So I can understand the corners getting a 9 for that one. I'm honestly very happy with this grade. Very, very happy with this grade. Potential, I mean, it wouldn't get a PSA 10 just because the corners are like that, but strong PSA 9 and of course a strong 9.5 from Beckett is absolutely phenomenal. And the edge has got a 9.5, but you know, those are kind of, you would have to take a closer look, but the centering and surface got perfect 10s on the Expedition base set Rapidash. Wow, that's crazy. So it's time. The final card in the set, make sure we don't show it, is the first edition base set Mewtwo card that I pulled on Pokemon Day from the heavy first edition base set pack. Now, just to go to show you and talk about what's at stake here, prices for perfect cards are always going up and, you know, they're crazy. So it was like, what was it, $20-ish thousand for first edition base set Mewtwo PSA 10. 9.5s and Mewtwo's, I think we're around, like in PSA 9s, we're around $5,000 to $9,000, pending condition of how strong of a grade it is, you know, because some 9s are worse or better than others. And so I think I said my grade was like a Beckett 9.5. Centering was perfect, but there was stuff on the corners, but it wasn't like crazy. So let us see what the first edition base set Mewtwo got. A 9! But look at that! Look at that! It's a 10 for centering. We called it on all 4 cards except one. Edge is a 9.5. Surface even a 9.5. No way! I didn't think the corners were that bad where they can get an 8.5. This is big. This is big because if that was a 9, this would get a 9.5. Maybe even still should qualify as a 9.5. I don't know, the math is always crazy for how they average these, but this is either somebody buys this or I'm getting this regraded for sure, or potential PSA, definitely a 9. So corners is an 8.5, but like I said, if the super strong categories in all the other ones except the corners, if that was a 9, this would be a 9.5 gem mint. So let's take a look. Usually on the front, yep, those are perfect corners, absolutely perfect corners, and there's the beautifulness of the card itself. So there is, look at this, a speck of whitening on the right side. There is a speck, barely noticeable whitening on that side. There is a speck on that side. And then the bottom right's perfect, just again. I guess you can mostly say it's like this expedition card where there was just like specks on there and it got a 9. That's all that we needed on this one, ladies and gentlemen, was a 9 for corners, and this would be a 9.5, which is why I still think it could get a 9 for the corners. You never know, the surface and edges may even get bumped up as well to 10s. I didn't see anything. That's incredible. I'm still happy with this grade because that's the ultimate thing when it comes to grading is, you know, it has the slab grade, but taking a look yourself to see just how strong of a card it is. And this is still a very strong card, which I may get regraded, so it gets a 9.5. First edition, base set Mewtwo. And look at that. Perfect 10 centering. All right, Heart Squad, I hope you enjoyed this Guess That grade. Please leave a like, and in the meantime, you want more videos? Click on those right now. My name is Leonhart. Stay awesome, stay positive, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.